Welcome back to our course on FinTech, Foundations and Overview. In this session, we're talking about one of the technologies of FinTech, the technology of blockchain and encryption, and the associated technology of distributed ledger. With me today is a guest speaker on this session, Yan Jin, who has joined us recently from Texas, University of Texas, Austin, and is a professor with her PhD specializing in fintech and blockchain issues. Okay, so we're going to talk about blockchain as a type of distributed ledger. You may know blockchain as an enabler for Bitcoin or for some other applications, but blockchain isn't the only way to do some cool things with technology. It is a type of distributed ledger. I recently listened to someone arguing animately that blockchain was neither the only way or even the best way to do many new applications which could be done with a distributed ledger. What's interesting about that is, as I pointed out, it really doesn't matter whether blockchain is the only way or even the best way. It is a popular and successful way. It has been proven, it works. It might not be the only way to do distributed ledger, but it's a powerful tool that is commonly accepted.
Right.
Now, if we think about it in terms of distributed ledger, we can look at this figure here, which looks at distributed ledger in different ways, and we could say the first line here is not distributed. That's a traditional database. You have one user. You have one record. That's not distributed. That's not a DLT. The second line says we're distributing things to a closed user group. Other than a ledger, if we were to look at that at, say, other kinds of documents like a spreadsheet, what's an example of distributing something that is a small closed user group?
We can think of that example using shared Google Doc. So once I create a Google Doc or Google spreadsheet, I can invite my collaborators to work on the same document, but it is only shared with the people I invited. So this copy is accessed by a closed group of users.
But I could publish it to many and let a few update it, right?
Right, that's true.
Okay, so I could distribute it very broadly. And I could have many people updating it. Anybody could see it, maybe, or many people could see it. So it's distributed. But
Right.
It's closed group. Closed group. Now, I could also have anyone see it and distribute it to the entire world. I could publish it for everybody. And can I have it be secure if anybody can see it, but I'm not using blockchain?
Probably you would have concern in that aspect, because you can have random people, as long as they get access, they can mess with your records.
So then you're worried and you say, if I'm going to do that, maybe I'd like to have one group or person or a closed group that has permission to update it.
Exactly.
So I could publish it to the world. Everybody could see it, but only one or a few people can update it. That's like some banking systems or applications, or it's kind of like a cryptocurrency called Ripple, where there is one group that can authenticate it or can approve it with a closed user group. Not everybody can authenticate it, not everybody can update those blocks, but a very small group or central clearing point. That's more traditional banking, but distributed banking.
Right.
Okay.
They take care of the trust part.
Now what happens with blockchain? Because blockchain is a distributed ledger on steroids.
Right. But with blockchain, all the miners can verify the same transaction, and they can, once the record on one block got changed, the hash value will be changed as well. So the whole blockchain needs to be remined. That's how blockchain prevent change of values from happening.
Okay, so blockchain is kind of new. It's a type of DLT, and any DLT or any distributed ledger has to address a couple of things basic to the distributed ledger. one of which is trust. How does blockchain do that? I don't have any administrator. I don't have any central clearing. Everybody's doing this. How do I know I can trust them?
Yeah. One mechanism here is each block is linked by the hash pointer, which means that the hash value of the previous block is used to calculate the hash value of the second block. That's how we link the blocks together. So once we change one record on one block, the rest of the blocks should be modified accordingly.
And that creates a chain.
That creates a chain.
A chain of blocks with hash values that can't be modified easily, at least.
Right.
So that's kind of cool, and that creates a sense of trust. And whether you like Bitcoin or not, you've got to acknowledge it's really made blockchain pretty clearly a viable technology. Okay. What about security? Is it secure?
It is. That is because to change the record is very costly. Probably it's going to take a long time, and it's going to consume a lot of computing resources.
And I can't change an old block without redoing all the following blocks. So if it's distributed out there, it's almost impossible to change history.
Exactly.
Okay, so that makes it very careful, very good. How about privacy? Do I get privacy? Because I worry about my bank records and information with a centralized database. Things could be private or they could be public. How about with Bitcoin?
With Bitcoin, when I want, for example, I want to transfer 2 Bitcoin to Ted, to you. And,
Thank you.
And then I don't need to know your full name. The only thing I need to know is the public address, which is a random number.
So I have to identify myself, but maybe not by name.
Right.
I need a unique identity. I need a way for you to say, this is definitely the person I want to send it to. But you don't need to know who I really am.
Right.
Okay. So I can have privacy and accuracy and yet some degree of anonymity along with identity.
Right.
That's unusual with blockchain. It's not traditional of typical banking. Although it might make a Swiss banker proud. Because they liked anonymity long before we had a blockchain. Okay, then we have transparency. We want to be able to verify things. Is a distributed ledger or blockchain transparent?
It is. That is one of the major breakthroughs that happens with blockchain, because the content on one blockchain consists of the history of the transactions. We can trace back, like one Bitcoin was transferred from A to B from B to C, from C to me, from me to Ted.
So we can follow the history of every Bitcoin ever created from the beginning to now.
Exactly, every single transaction. We can trace all the way back to the creation of that exact Bitcoin.
How important is cryptography or encryption to this blockchain world?